Daf Lamed Hey of Terah. We're in the middle of a mimer on the pasuk Imcha makor chaim nireh, and it's a mimer which was discussing the pasuk that we say in Hallel that hamashpili liros bashomayim uvaaretz, that Hashem descends down to see into the heavens and earth, and we explained one interpretation about how Hashem comes down to get involved in the world, in heaven and earth, through our Torah and Mitzvos. Now, for a second explanation, halfway down the first column, the paragraph begins with bir. Another interpretation of Shemayim V'aretz is not that Hashem goes down into heaven and earth, but we're saying that Hashem descends to us through the heavens and earth. The heaven and earth is the cause of Hashem coming down. We're going to explain soon what does Shemayim and Aretz refer to according to this interpretation. So now, either way, we'll understand this pasuk through referencing again the Haftarah of Hanukkah, which comes from Zechariah, and it says there. It talks about the gula al Roisha. It says that the Navi saw menorah, and it had this gula, it had this round bowl on top of the menorah, and this was a bowl of oil. But either way, we've got this round thing on the top, round thing on the head. So this gives the imagery of a crown. And the idea of a crown is that it's something which is beyond the head, something which represents something that's beyond intellect and beyond the regular shalshalos. And the idea is that what's important when we serve Hashem is that it's not for our own benefit. It's not because it's enjoyable to be connected, but it's the ultimate reason, the high reason is because we're serving Hashem, and our desire, our striving is to just accept Hashem's yoke and to do what Hashem wants, and beyond reasoning and nullifying our will before Hashem's will. And that's what we mean when we say Baruch Ata Hashem. We say blessed are you Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, our God, the Master of the world. That what we want is that Hashem's kingship should be manifest throughout the world and throughout all worlds, and we're ready to be in service to Him. And then Hashem becomes active king, because the king is only when the subjects want him. And that's what the pasuk means when it says that Hashem says about the Jewish people, Ki li b'nei Yisrael avadim, that the Jewish people, the Israelites, are to me servants. The meaning is that only when you are servants, only when we accept to do what Hashem wants because of His will, so then we have this closeness with Hashem. According to this interpretation, what is Shemayim V'aretz? We say that Hashem descends through as a result of Shemayim and Aretz. So Shemayim and Aretz either means Shemayim, the high level of Torah, is Torah Shebichsav, the written Torah, and then the Aretz, earth, is Torah Shebal Peh, the oral Torah. And through both the written Torah and the oral Torah, that's how what draws Hashem down. Or Shemayim refers to Torah, which is Hashem giving over His message to us. Therefore, it's like heavens. And earth refers to Tefillah, our prayer, where we are ascending to Hashem. We are saying what we want to say, talking up to Hashem. And that's another interpretation of Shemayim V'aretz, heaven and earth. Either way, but this elicits Hashem. This brings down Hashem into the worlds. Because the davening, the prayer, is effective as it's us coming from below and nullifying ourselves before Hashem. And that's also the idea that it says in Parshas Beshalach, it says that when the Jewish people left, they escaped from Egypt after the 10 plagues. So it says that Pari was coming close. He was chasing behind them. And then it says, Vayitzako el Hashem, the Jewish people cried out to Hashem. So what's the idea? That in spiritually, we've said that Pari, there's the spiritual counterpart, which refers to revelation of godliness. And what causes Pari Hikri? What causes this revelation of godliness to approach, to come close to us? It is the crying out to Hashem, which is that humility and that dedication, being totally available as servants of Hashem. Now, so similarly throughout Torah and Mitzvos, so like we say when we say a bracha on a mitzvah, that Hashem kiddushanu b'mitzvos, so that Hashem sanctified us with His mitzvahs, that He made us holy and allowed us to connect at the highest level, His mitzvahs, like we've said before. Now, it says that the menorah is made of gold, and gold is connected with gevura, like we've explained in previous days. There's a pasuk in here that says that gold is from the north, and then it says in that same pasuk talks about yira, about reverence, which is from the side of discipline and severity, the left. Now, the prophecy also mentions that there were two olive trees on the side of the menorah and the bowl over the menorah. And at the end of this parak, at the end of Parak Dalet of Zechariah, it says that it talks about pouring out the gold, and so this is the idea of giving over and letting this yira of Hashem, this reverence of Hashem, flow down. And this is through Torah and Mitzvos, that Torah and Mitzvos awaken our godly spark within, and that awaken and thus awaken our burning love to Hashem, as well as our bitterness from being far away, and our neshama not being in an obvious union with Hashem the whole day. That the neshama should cry out and want to return to the lap of her father. And this is the idea of the pasuk that the Maimon starts with, Ki Imcha makor chaim, that with you is the source of life, meaning that Hashem Himself is really beyond enlivening worlds. And what enlivens worlds? Only Imcha, what is with you, meaning what is a light from Hashem, not Hashem Himself. Hashem Himself is beyond. And the mitzvahs that we do, they are the limbs of the King, and therefore they help to, just like the limb, the soul is manifest in each limb. So similarly, the mitzvahs is where Hashem is manifest, and therefore they allow us to bring godliness down. So not only that we see Hashem's light, but also, like we spoke yesterday, that we'll see our own light as well. In other words, that when we do mitzvahs, it reveals our godly importance, how we're part of Hashem's plan. Okay, so now that concludes the mimer, and we've explained the pasuk at the beginning. The pasuk says that it says, with you is the source of life. And we asked, why with you? Why not you? And we answered, because Hashem Himself is really beyond being involved in worlds. It's only a light with Him that is the source of the vitality of worlds. We also explained that the second half of the pasuk, nireh, through your light we will see light. So nireh, the Maimon said at the beginning, nireh could either mean that we will see, or nireh, that it is revealed, that the light is revealed, and we said that both are true, that both that Hashem's presence it becomes manifest, and also that we are revealed, that we become important. Now, the next section is a more Kabbalistic explanation on the mimer that we just learned. So let's continue with the biur. So now we have 613 mitzvahs, and they correspond to what Kabbalah discusses as 613 pathways in the skull, which within Zot, because in Kabbalah there's what's called Ze'er Anpin and Arich Anpin. Ze'er Anpin literally means small face. Arich Anpin literally means the long face. But Ze'er Anpin, or Zah in short, refers to the midas, the 6 emotional attributes, whereas Arich refers to the lower part of Keser, of the crown, beyond the regular system of spheres. And within Keser, within the Keser, which is this crown, which is makor, which surrounds and is beyond, there's 2 parts. There's Atik and Arich. Atik is the higher part and considered the end of creator. And then Arich is considered the beginning of creation. And everything, all the spheres mirror within our personality and psyche. And Atik mirrors our sense of pleasure, whereas Arich mirrors our sense of desire, when we want something beyond reason. Either way, so the mitzvahs are in Zah, but their source is in Arich. We've said that Hashem also puts on tefillin and wears a talis and davens. And the idea is that that all worlds, even the highest world, Atzilus, which is a world of godliness, is nothing compared to Hashem. And it takes a great symptom, a great contraction, in order to even create a world like Atzilus, a world of closeness to Hashem. And this in the body, the idea of symptom is reflected in hair, because hair has a limited amount of energy, even though the hair comes right out of the head, but the head is so delicate and so important. Whereas the hair, you can cut it, and you don't feel, and that's because it has a very limited amount of vitality, and that's through its symptom. So in order for Hashem's light to come down into the world, and to care for the world and to be involved, it's through Hashem doing mitzvos. Because when Hashem puts on tefillin, that means Hashem, who's really unlimited, is now bring himself down, his presence down into tefillin, which is linked to chachma, to holy intellect. And also the whole idea of tefillin is about connecting. The word tefil means to connect as well, and that's the idea of davening as well. And therefore, in Hashem's tefillin, it says that about how we are a great nation that make Hashem one. And that too links Hashem. The whole idea of his mitzvahs is to link Hashem with the physical and worlds in the world and the worlds in general, and thinking about how the Jewish people are special, that links Hashem downward. And the same thing with other mitzvahs like tzedakah is about kindness to someone in need, and similarly Hashem is kindness to us. And the world is created with kindness. It's also connected to the idea of worlds. And now the question is, a mitzvah has 2 parts. There's the item that you use for the mitzvah itself. For example, tefillin. Before putting on tefillin, you first have to have tefillin. So tefillin are holy. They've got 4 sections of the Torah in it, Hashem's name many times. Now, we've got the mitzvah itself, and then we have the person who does the mitzvah. So what is the main things? The main thing is not the mitzvah itself. Tefillin, however holy they are just something used to do the real mitzvah. But the real mitzvah is when you put them on. Even though the parashiyos, even though the 4 scrolls with paragraphs of the Torah, like Shema Vayim, and as well as the first 2, Kadosh Shema Kiyaviyacha, the tefillin already existed before someone put them on. But when are they the ultimate intention of creation? When someone does a mitzvah with them. And therefore, only then do they have Hashem's ratzon, Hashem's will and desire manifest in them. And similarly, So now with Hashem's tefillin as well, so when Hashem puts on tefillin, so that brings about Hashem's unlimited light enclothing itself within spheres, and in particular within chachma, because tefillin is connected to the head and intellect, and that's the main mitzvah. But when you have tefillin for itself, they've got far less value than when Hashem actually puts it on. Just like when we put it on, we give the tefillin more value, the same with Hashem. But how does this work? I understand when a person puts on the tefillin, so the tefillin could exist without the person getting involved in the tefillin, and therefore when he puts it on, it's adding something. But with Hashem, before he puts on the tefillin are nothing, they don't exist, because everything has to be energized from Hashem. So if Hashem's not involved, it wouldn't exist at all. So how can we have the concept of tefillin without Hashem putting it on? So the answer is, and this is also hinted in Pasach Eliyahu, the section of Zay that we say on Friday afternoons. So it says there that when you depart from it, Ishtara Kagufa remains like a body. So when the soul departs, it's when Hashem departs, so then we don't have the soul anymore, we've only got the body. So the question is, how are we comparing Hashem to a soul and a body? With the soul and the body, each one has its own cause for its existence, and the body has a separate cause from the neshama. And therefore, even if the neshama part departs, the body still exists. Whereas with Hashem, so then everything that exists is from Hashem. So if Hashem's not getting involved, then how does it even exist? So the idea is that Hashem doesn't depart totally. When we say when Hashem departs, it's like a body without a soul. We don't mean total departing. We mean just that the deeper intellect, the deeper involvement departs, but there is some trace of the basic thought of the basics, and so Hashem is still somewhat involved. And the same idea can also be said about kalim, that the vessels which hold Hashem's light, that even when Hashem is not actively involved in a manifest way, but he's still involved enough to keep it going. And because Hashem also has, just like Hashem has the power of infinity, he also has the power of limitation, which the root of that is a concept in Kabbalah called mati v'lo mati, reaching and not reaching. So Hashem's light hasn't yet divided into two parts, which are later called, which in lower levels are called rotzi and shuv, the yearning, and then the conviction that despite the yearning, we have to stay in this world to do the mitzvah that Hashem wants. So mati v'lo mati, reaching and not reaching, is beyond Hishtalshelus, beyond the chain of worlds, and beyond order, where Hashem's light reaches and then pulls back in order to just be with Hashem. But without really two separate levels, it's all within one general level, without division. So now, either way, the just like we can have with a person when he goes to sleep. So he's still involved somewhat in his body, but not in such an active way. And therefore his thoughts, he uses his imagination, but there's no limit of that it has to make sense. So, and therefore the body and even the thought can still exist even when he departs from it. So that's the idea of it still existing, that there's this symptom, this contraction, in order to let it still exist, even without Hashem being visibly involved. But so when we say that Hashem puts on tefillin, we're saying that Hashem adds his involvement into chachma, and therefore when Hashem actually puts on tefillin, it's greater than the tefillin just being there by himself. And the same thing with other mitzvahs, like Hashem learning Torah, which is bringing Hashem's name into the Torah, and Hashem davening. That all the ideas here is that yes, Hashem already keeps the world going at its basic capacity, but in order to add more light, that's through these mitzvahs that Hashem does as well to bring his energy into the different physical items with which he does the mitzvah. Okay, then he just says at the end of the Alter Rebbe says at the end of the paragraph, there's another interpretation that actually when we say Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we don't mean Hashem's ultimate unlimited self. We mean Zah, the midas of Atzilus, of the highest of the four worlds, and therefore, when we talk about Hashem doing a mitzvah or davening, so it's this lower level of godliness bringing upon itself a higher level of godliness, which from beyond his shalshness. Now, next paragraph. Now, the main goal of our mitzvahs is that this Hashem, it's really all about Hashem's mitzvahs, that Hashem should do this mitzvah as well. And that adds spiritual energy. It adds Hashem's light to whatever is being involved with in the mitzvah. But this only works for a tzaddik, who the tzaddik, in terms of his own service of Hashem, is all great. And therefore, what's his mitzvah about? It's about adding light. But for a regular person, so he's involved in the quagmire and the mud of the physical earth, and his job is to refine the sparks of godliness within the physical environment that he finds himself. So his mitzvahs are for a different purpose. So how can it be then that we have the exact same mitzvahs, both tzaddikim and regular people, both righteous and regular people, even though the goal of their mitzvah is different to ours? So the answer is that really the goal of the tzaddik when he serves, when he does a mitzvah, and the goal of a regular person is effectively the same. Because when the tzaddik brings more light of Hashem into the highest world, into Atzilus, that also has a trickle-down impact on the lower worlds, and therefore it refines the lower worlds. And that's what the pasuk means, hamashpili, liros, bashomayim, uvaaretz, that Hashem descends to the heavens and earth, according to the first interpretation, that Hashem just lowers himself into the heavens and the earth. That really Hashem is totally beyond, but he lowers himself to the heavens, to the heaven and earth. And like we said before, that when Hashem sleeps, obviously Hashem doesn't actually sleep. It means that you can't see his involvement. And although even in dreams, there's still the mind still works, but it's only the mind without real thinking. It's just imagination. But when he gets up, so then his thought processes become more rational and more sort of defined and limited. So similarly, when Hashem's light descends upwards, so there's still a little bit of light left for it to continue to exist. But the extra light, it descends upwards. And that's what we mean, that Hashem lowers himself. And we've got a similar pasuk, that Hashem looks down from his holy place in heaven and blesses the Jewish people. That when we do mitzvahs, so then we become important. And that's the idea of the blessing through mitzvahs. Next paragraph, so now we said that this mimer is one of the main themes, is explaining this the pasuk, hamashpili, liros, bashomayim, uvaaretz, that Hashem descends in order to see in the heavens and earth. So now, to give the second interpretation to this pasuk, let's first consider further for a moment the Nevuah and Zachariah, which is, as we said, the Haftarah of Hanukkah, which talks about the Gula al Reisha, and something round around the head. The bowl, which literally it's talking about the bowl, and there was a bowl of oil in this vision above the menorah. So what does it mean, something round above the head? Like we said before, it means keser, a crown above the head. So with Keser, with this crown above Atzilus, above the highest world, so the beginning of Keser is what's called Atik, which reflects in a person, it reflects pleasure with Hashem. It's the end of Creator, and so what comes out is that in each level, right at the top of each level, you have a light which is beyond, and then that energizes the whichever level it is influencing. So what's important and what's understood to one person, to someone else, is something which might be inspiration, but they don't quite get. So you might let's give as an example. So back in the shtetl, they didn't have teachers for every class. They might have had only 2 kids at each age. So the teacher would go from group to group. You might have one group of 13-year-olds, another group of 10-year-olds, another group of 7-year-olds. And when each watch him teach the higher class, so they don't quite get it. But what they do see is that there's something big happening. They don't get it. It's beyond them, but they see, wow, there's something happening. So what is understood by high level is the keser, the inspiration, which is beyond for the lower level. Either way, so we've got this this idea of this bowl, which is the keser, the beyond. Then we have the 7 lamps of the menorah, which is the 7 midas, and each one comes out of a tube, the 7 tubes. These tubes refer to the midas, which are beyond intellect, which are midas, which are makor, which are surrounding and beyond. And then the prophecy talks about 2 olive trees. The olive trees olives are bitter, but you can get oil out of them. And so the idea of olive trees is refining the sparks of holiness within this physical world. And that when we do that, and we subdue Klippa and transform Klippa, so then, like Zoya says, that that when the side of impurity is subjugated, then Hashem's presence is revealed in all worlds. And the 2 trees are the two perspectives. There's from us looking up towards Hashem, and Hashem bringing down to us. So that's the 2 trees. But either way, we need bitterness, which is the idea of fighting back and knocking down the sitrach, or specifically doing what it doesn't want, just to knock it down. And through this, we have this revelation of Hashem throughout all worlds. Next paragraph in Ikar. Now, there are 2 main causes of that elicit this gift, this giving over of this makif energy, with the gula, the crown energy. So one is bittul, it's complete self-nullification, beyond beyond intellect, like we spoke before, that just being there to be of service, not to be self-fulfilled. And when we are so devoted, so committed to Hashem, so this causes the the bounce back light, which is even more powerful than the regular Yasha, the regular light, which just comes down, like we discussed in previous days. Now, this is also connected to the idea of hair. Like we said, that hair breaking through and coming out is also this idea of hair is more physical. It has less life. You can cut it, but coming through shows this sort of quality of the lower over the high, more than the higher. And therefore, with every mitzvah, we use physical items which are not holy, and then we make them holy. So we use wool for tzitzis and parchment for tefillin, and that way refine them. Now there's so when we have this full bittul, when we're totally devoted, and all we want is what Hashem wants, so that's what we try to achieve. So this brings down the level of a gula ratio, this crown, the beyond, because we're not talking here about a specific mitzvah or something specific we're working on. We're talking about total devotion. Whereas through mitzvahs, each mitzvah is one pathway of the skull. In other words, each mitzvah is only a specific light, not like the bittul, nullification to Hashem and commitment to Hashem, which is the general light. And the idea of bittul is connected to uvaaretz. We said that Hashem descends through shamayim and uvaaretz. Uvaaretz is this earth, is this nullification to be small like earth, whereas shamayim is a unlimited love. It's heavenly love to Hashem without any limits. And so the pasuk that says hamashpili, liros, bashomayim, uvaaretz means that through shamayim and uvaaretz, through heaven and earth, heaven we said is the love of Hashem b'chol with all our might, and uvaaretz the bittul, the self-nullification before Hashem. So then Hashem is brought down and revealed down in the worlds through those two things, through bittul together with the ava b'chol. Now, in Arizal's writings, he explains that we have two ways to unite to Hashem. The deeper union is through mesiras nefesh, which is, like we said, just this general commitment, whereas the lower level union is through mitzvos, through specific mitzvos. And this is also why Shema comes before V'hayim Shemaya, because in Shema we accept Hashem's yoke in general without specifics, whereas in V'hayim Shemaya we're accepting the mitzvahs. So in Shema we just say to Hashem, yes sir, whatever you want, we're ready, we're committed to you. Whereas in V'hayim we're saying we're committed to your mitzvahs. It's already getting more specific. And therefore it's a lower level. We're committing to specific items, not just whatever you want. And therefore, Shema is where we bring down from the crown, from the beyond, whereas V'hayim Shemaya is the more limited light, because it's accepting specific mitzvahs. Now, based on this, we understand the pasuk Imcha, makor, chaim that we started with, that the idea of with you is the source of life. So the idea of the source of life is what is the source that keeps the worlds going, and that is the keser, that whatever is beyond and energizes those worlds. But Hashem is really totally beyond being a creator, and therefore we say ki imcha makor chaim, with you is the source of life, but Hashem himself is not the source of life; it's just with him. And that's also the idea that we say in Hallel hamakbi l'shaves, that Hashem he lifts himself to dwell and to sit. So again, that Hashem himself is really beyond, but then what comes down in order to energize worlds, only something which is a light which is with Hashem, not Hashem himself. And then we go on to the next pasuk, hamashpili, liros, bashomayim, uvaaretz, who descends to see in the heaven and earth. And we said that there's two meanings to this: either that Hashem descends to the heavens and earth, or Hashem descends because of the heavens and earth, because of the heavens, of the heavenly love of Hashem, unlimited love, and the earth meaning this humility and Kabolas Ol, self-nullification. And we see this in the crown as well, that the gula, this round thing above the top of the menorah, which literally the pasuk of the gula ratio is like a crown above the head. Rashi explains this gula is actually a bowl of oil, and therefore it's the recipient. So we've got this idea of the gula, which is both the crown that gives to the world below it, and also it's a recipient. It's a container that holds oil. So when we bring down Hashem's light, so then nireh. So with Hashem's light, nireh, we see we can translate this as well as we see our light. Like we said at the Maimon noted that Baruch nireh can either be translated as in your light, light is seen. In Hashem's light, our light is seen as well. Or in your light, in Hashem's light, nireh, we are seen. So not it is seen, but we are seen. So here we're saying that yes, through bringing Hashem down, Hashem's light down. So and mitzvahs are what bring it down. So then we become important because Hashem's now getting involved in worlds. Okay, so that concludes the explanation on the Imcha, mekor, chaim, and some of the important concepts, especially at the end, were about the difference between accepting Hashem's yoke no matter what versus accepting specific mitzvahs. We spoke about how Hashem sometimes appears to be uninvolved, and then the mitzvahs bring about Hashem's involvement, and that there's even when Hashem's, so to speak, uninvolved, he still gives a basic energy for it to continue to exist. But it might exist, but without the passion and the full drive that Torah and Mitzvos can bring about.